Hello and welcome to another episode of High Voltage. I am your host. I'm Mackenzie Nelson, and I am thrilled that you have chosen to join me today. So happy to present you with a more finished backdrop for my podcast. It's been an ever evolving, continuing journey into this new realm of media for me. So I love it. I'm really excited. I feel like it's screaming my father's feathers, which is my book coming out September 20th. You can grab it for $1.99 in Kindle format. I'm sure you've seen my posts by now, and go to MackenzieKNelson.com if you want some more information. I'm here today to help you fully engage and to charge up to grab every single drop of this present moment that you can and just refuel. Connect with your source. For me, that's God, that's Jesus. Let's take a minute, take some time to be mindful. I know it's Friday, you guys gearing up for your weekend. I hope you have some great plans. I get to go to a wedding this weekend. I'm so excited about and hang out with some friends and go golfing, enjoy a little pool time. I'm sure you have a lot you're looking forward to too. So let's just take a minute here. Let's focus and center on this present moment before we dive into today's topic. What are some things, that have been standing out to you as you have, gone about your daily lives? What are some things that you feel have been presenting to you? Maybe something you need to handle or something that's left unfinished that you've been feeling prompted to attend to, or someone that's just been on your mind, and you've been meaning to send that text, or you've been meaning to call, you've been meaning to drop off a meal for someone you know is in need. Let this be your reminder. If you have that pen and that paper handy, go ahead and jot down that person that's on your mind, on your heart, because I believe in these times, there is such a need for these small acts of kindness, you guys. So don't let that pass. Don't let that moment pass where you think of someone and then you don't act on that. So let this be that reminder. Act on that moment, act on that feeling that you're feeling right now. Is there anything else that's coming to your mind that maybe there's a big project that you've been feeling led to take on, or a new realm, or maybe a promotion that you want to apply for, but you're nervous and you don't want to get rejected if it doesn't happen? Let this be your little nudge to go ahead and apply anyway. Do it. Say yes. Say yes to calling that friend, yes to that job promotion, and just take that second here and write that down. All right. I'm also curious what you wrote down. So if you want to share with me, hit me up in the under the subscribe. You can leave a comment. Let me know how you like the show. Let me know what came to mind and how you feel like what I'm talking about is helping you. I would love some feedback. So today's topic is all about how to build trust in relationships. So we're talking all about building trust and building relationships, building healthy relationships forged from that concrete basis of trust, of two people aligning and understanding where each other are coming from and are able to serve and function in a healthy place for each of them in that relationship. Trust is something that is so, so hard, I think, in our society, even more now than ever. We've all just been through so much. There was, the election, the pandemic. There's just really never, I feel, in my lifetime. I'm almost 41, giving away my age, but so much division and strife. And I think there's been a lot of, negativity and a lot of people, like even in my own family, who are not speaking anymore with a lot of the dynamics that have currently been in play. For me, there is more to that story, which is in my book, My Father's Feathers, which is coming out September 20th. You guys, I really hope you'll show up and grab yourself a deal for $1.99 in Kindle format, and you can hear more about my personal relationships and my personal story and how I really have, pressed into God and spoken to Him and trusted Him to lead me relationally. Because a lot of trust that I have had for people has been, tarnished, and I've been burned and I've been hurt, and it hurts so much. I mean, I am a very caring person, but sometimes those of us that are the most sensitive and have the most to offer in terms of love and kindness, compassion, empathy, we're the ones that are hurting the most because we feel everything so deeply. Um, and I'm one of these people. My genius, my creativity is at the core of, this very deep part of me that is, so soft. And I want sometimes in relationships to protect that. It's hard to open up and to share my whole story, especially with the world, because I am someone who cares deeply for others and about others. And only really, really my intent is to help people along in their journey. But so many times in my own, when I have, you know, extended the olive branch, I've had my hand smacked away. And I'm like, what? Why? Like, I'm just trying, to get closer with you or have a more intimate relationship to where, we can come and stand together on solid ground. What gives? Where is the disconnect? For me, trust and building that in relationships all goes back to the basics. And the first step of that is one, you've got to be trustworthy. To have relationships built on trust, you must encompass trust, integrity. You must be someone who keeps their word. You can't tell your wife, honey, I'm going to clean the garage out. I'll get to it. I promise. And then, that garage is still dirty like 2 weeks later. What's going to happen with your wife? She's not she's not going to believe you as much the next time you tell her, hey, I'm going to get right out and I'm going to clean that garage. Well, then it becomes this point of like, will you clean it out? Won't you clean it out? I don't know like what to believe. And when that happens, trust is diminished in relationships, and it eats and etches away at that foundation that you have as a husband and wife team in so many ways over time. If you're not keeping your word, even if it's like daily household tasks or like trimming the bushes outside or a myriad of other things around the house that you could help out with, and you are just cutting corners and thinking it's no big deal, to your wife or to someone else, they're noticing this, and it's for them, they're like starting to second guess the relationship, because they're not feeling valued. And when someone is not trustworthy in a relationship, it does diminish and tarnish the value of that relationship. So the first thing you can do is watch your own actions and watch your words and watch your intent when you are promising something to someone, or you are saying, yes, boss, I'll be at work tomorrow at 7 a.m. Are you there at 7 a.m.? Are you consistently someone who's later than you say you will be? I have had friendships where it's been a pattern of behavior where we're going to meet, we're going to meet up, we're going to have coffee, and we're going to meet at 9 o'clock. And the first time they show up at 9:15, okay, like traffic, didn't really plan as well. That's fine. But then over time, that's what I look for people who are trustworthy. It's an established pattern of integrity, which means their intent, their words, and their actions are all along the same linear path. I just knocked over my microphone. So they're all along the same linear path. And if someone is not trustworthy, their actions, their intentions, none of that is going to be lining up. There'll always be inconsistencies. Like you'll always hear, oh yeah, I'll be there at this time with that friend. And then it's just never, ever what they say it will be. And so for me, I've learned that carries over into other categories. If you are someone who is chronically late all the time, for me, that is going to disqualify you from a friendship, because if you're not going to value my time and be respectful of that, then I know there are other areas about my life or my heart that you will also be disrespectful of. Because as we've talked about, it just takes one drop to contaminate like a whole batch. So, really, if you're a person of integrity, you're going to always have words, actions, alignment, and that will always meet up. And then there'll be no question, no haziness, no, and you're not going to add that extra stress on your friends or family members to try and figure out like what's going on here. Can I trust them? Can I not trust them? So really, if you are someone who's struggling with like a tardiness issue or something like that, I encourage you to look deeper into that, because that's a key indicator that there is also probably other areas of your life that you are struggling in, aligning and having everything come into this full circle part of your life where everything should flow and you should feel fulfilled. You should feel accomplished. You should feel proud of yourself. And if you don't, if you're always feeling like, oh, darn it, I did this or I did that wrong. Like, take that as an opportunity to kind of right now just write down some notes about some areas of your life that you're noticing. Maybe you're promising something, but the delivery is never quite matching up to what you have said. Then you can start noticing these areas in other people, which is what I do in my friendships and in my family relationships and everything. I strive to be a person of integrity. If I promise something, if I say I'll do something, it's of the utmost importance, whether that is something like, hey, Lincoln, yeah, I'll have a pair of socks out for you to wear in the morning. I am just as intentional about getting him that pair of socks as I am about, yes, my book is launching on 9/20, which is a much bigger deal. But to me, it's all the same priority list because I said I would do something. That means I follow through. No if, and, ors about it. And things do come up. But when they do, are you communicative about that? Are you reaching out? Are you apologizing? Are you taking accountability, ownership, and then taking steps moving forward in the future to have better behavior? Because all of these things that you are doing as an individual are impacting the trust level of your relationships. And every detail is important. It's not some things we deliver on, some things we don't. If you aren't faithful in the small things, you won't be given more of the bigger things. This is what God tells us in the Bible. So the little things count just as much as the bigger things, and they're all adding up to this big overall picture of who you are. Who are you? A trustworthy person? Do you have integrity? Do you have follow through? And then trust begets trust. So when you are a trustworthy person and you are doing everything you can to, promise something and then deliver, you are going to be trusted by others. And you are going to be finding you're aligning with trustworthy people. Maybe not in the beginning. Maybe in the beginning, if you are someone who has an issue with keeping your word and always overpromises and underdelivers, you could be relationally interwoven with other overpromisers and underdeliverers, because they all tend to hang out together, because people who promise and deliver won't hang out with people who promise and underdeliver for long, because they'll catch on to the pattern. And that a trustworthy person equates with a successful person, because when you're able to say, I'll do this, you do it, then voila, you're able to accomplish any task that you set your mind to. So trust is that basic building block that is essential. You are following through with what you promise, no matter how big or how small, in order to build on that and to achieve your dreams, to achieve the things that you set out to do, that you feel led by God to accomplish. Another thing is, if you are noticing these patterns with people in your lives and you are someone who is keeping your word, it's going to start to take a toll on you and become so painful to stay partnered in these relationships with people who lack integrity. And so a really huge part of building trust and building relationships is having discernment and understanding about the people you should be investing and partaking in with these relationships. If you're noticing things aren't aligning, things are, things aren't really quite as this person always says, there's always, conflicting information, these are red flags and these are warning signs that this may not be a safe space for you. This may not be a person who you can trust with a continued friendship. And it can be really, really difficult, in some of these relationships, especially when they're family members, to take that step back. But it is essential if you yourself want to keep in a good headspace and you want to keep, thriving and feeling joy. People who aren't trustworthy aren't capable of bringing that into relationships with you. There's always going to be things gnawing, nagging, and bringing you down with untrustworthy people. So another thing I try to do now, especially if I am just meeting a new person and forging a new relationship, is I try my best to be generous with my heart. And then I watch how the other person respects that and holds that space before I invest further in them. So, and it's a pattern of behavior that I'm watching for in these relationships and seeing, how this friend handles this certain situation, or how they're investing in my friendship as well, and how I'm feeling in these things. So I'm very cognizant of, after meeting a new person, after talking, coming back, reassessing in the present moment, how am I feeling? Am I feeling great about moving forward with this person, or is this maybe a space I, shouldn't keep investing in? And also, you got to understand too, when you recognize someone in your life that's maybe not trustworthy, you know, don't throw your pearls to pigs, is one of my favorite sayings, lest they trample on them. That's actually in the Bible. You don't want to give these insights that you've attained, these pearls of wisdom that are so delicate and raw and real to you, to people who are just going to smack them out of your hand and stampede on them. That's not using wisdom and discernment in relationships. These are some of the things that I implement in my life now, and I'm very choosy about what information I'm relaying and sharing in terms of relationally. And a lot of that's changing for me. I'm kind of an exception, sharing my whole life story book. And that's something right now that I'm still exploring, navigating, and I'm sure will continue to grow and learn in that space after this book is published and more of you guys know my story. And I am really excited to journey through that as well. And life is a journey. Stop looking at it as like wrong or right. Rather, look at it as growing and learning, and using maybe some of the new information, if you hadn't really thought of it before watching this podcast. Apply it to your life, and make sure you're checking those boxes first, that you're a trustworthy person. And then you will attract trustworthy people, and you will be in alignment in these friendships and in these relationships with people who it's a two-way street where you're just flowing together. I know, because that has been my experience. God has brought people into my life to support me who are trustworthy. I feel safe, I feel held, I feel loved, known, respected, cared for. Oh, it just fills me up. And it is such a difference from the void of depression that I was engaged in so many relationships before I started to understand how patterns of trust actually are established and work. It can change your life, it can change your relationships. And so I'm just really excited to talk to you guys about this today. It's very simple, and it all starts with you. Check yourself. It starts with you. Jesus says, get the board out of your eye before you go over to your neighbor and take it out of theirs. It's so much easier to point at someone else and say, you're not trustworthy. Well, actually, you might be partnered with that untrustworthy person and having all these issues because it starts with you. Maybe you're the one in that relationship that hasn't been following through with things. It's just so much easier to see it when it's someone else other than yourself. All right. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you love the new background, the new setup. Shout out to Maureen Blake Productions for the amazing, spectacular work they have been doing on my shows. I'm so thrilled, so excited. And subscribe, you guys. Help me out. Hit that button. Send me some comments, questions. Go to my website, poke around, get on my list for the book. You can be one of the first to know. And I look forward to seeing you guys again next week. Have a great weekend, guys.